Jehovah's Witnesses try to obey the government and the laws of the land in every aspect of life. But the one aspect of life that they realize that the governments cannot control is our worship of God. If the government says you cannot preach the message, it doesn't take much research in the Bible to see that the apostles had the same command given to them, and they gave very clear answers when they say we obey God as ruler rather than men.
Jesus had forewarned his disciples, "Men will deliver you up to local courts." While preaching from house to house, Newton Cantwell and his sons were arrested for conducting their ministry without the approval of the state. The witnesses challenged the conviction.
Not defiant, but simply peacefully saying, no, Jehovah has commanded us to do this, and we're not going to ask a human for permission to do that which Jehovah has commanded us to do.
After a 2-year battle, the court decided in favor of Jehovah's Witnesses. But just 2 weeks after the Cantwell decision, the United States Supreme Court would decide another case involving Jehovah's Witnesses and the national flag.
Although we respect totally the nation and what the flag represents, to make an act of devotion or worship to a flag is in the same category to us as worshiping an idol.
Thousands of witness school children were expelled because they would not salute. Among them, William and Lillian Gobitis. The witnesses challenged the expulsion in court.
Then when the time came for the trial, that was very frightening.
Raise your right hand, put your left hand on the Bible. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Bill was the first one to go on stand. They asked him, why don't you salute the flag? And he brought out Exodus 20.
Thou shalt not.
Then when it was my turn, they asked the same, and I said,
the Bible is clear at 1 John 5:21, where it says, little children, keep yourselves from idols.
Although the lower courts decided in favor of Jehovah's Witnesses,
court's adjourned.
The school board fought back and appealed to the Supreme Court. On June 3, 1940, the Supreme Court ruled 8-1 against Jehovah's Witnesses, a ruling that would rock the country. Within days of the Gobitis decision, the Kingdom Hall in Kennebunk, Maine was torched. In Illinois, a mob attacked witnesses as they were preaching, turning over their cars and destroying their literature. In Winsboro, Texas, witness Oscar Pillars was attacked by a mob that was determined to make him salute the flag.
They brought me to him. By now they had the flag there, and they wanted me to salute that. They would hold up my hand in this fashion, and I'd let my hand drop. And of course that made them very angry.
The mob threw the rope over a pipe and then pulled Pillars up. He woke up in jail and near death.
The next thing I knew was a doctor was bringing me to. The marshal said, and this put great courage back into me, the marshal said, "He is the most stubborn devil I've ever seen in my life." So I knew then that I had not compromised.
Some were tarred and feathered. Others were run out of town. Several were castrated. And this was not just from 1 or 2 communities, but literally from Maine to California, from Washington to Georgia.
In Opelika, Alabama, witness Thelma Jones and later her husband Roscoe were arrested and unjustly convicted of selling books without a license. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld their conviction 5-4.
The Supreme Court ruled that the state, in this case the city of Opelika, had the right to impose a fee and a permit for the so-called privilege of talking to one's neighbor.
Yet, in the defeat, there lay a glimmer of hope. Dissenting Justices Douglas, Murphy, and Black stated that the Jones case and the earlier Gobitis flag salute case were wrongly decided. Jehovah's Witnesses saw their opportunity. They forged ahead with a new flag salute case.
Well, Brother Covington, it looks like we're ready to go to trial.
West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett. In the Barnett case, the court reversed itself, overturning the decision in Gobitis. The court ruled that the school board has no right to deny education to children of Jehovah's Witnesses who refuse to salute the flag. In that one year, 1943, the United States Supreme Court rendered 21 decisions favorable to Jehovah's Witnesses. Meanwhile, witnesses in the province of Quebec, Canada, were being arrested regularly, sometimes twice a day. Quebec's head of state, Premier Maurice Duplessis, made it his personal ambition to silence Jehovah's Witnesses. But his efforts backfired. After a 12-year battle, the Canadian Supreme Court convicted Duplessis for his harassment of Jehovah's Witnesses. The condemnation of the premier of a province was unprecedented in Canadian history, and it was hailed as a landmark for individual freedom. Legal battles were not limited to North America. In Greece, some 20,000 arrests were carried out against Jehovah's Witnesses. Over a period of 48 years, Minos Kokkinakis was arrested more than 60 times for preaching. He spent years in prison and in exile.
If I was keeping a book, how could I write it? 1, 2, 3, 5, 10. Many times I was in prison and exile. That was a whole life. 50 years. They sentenced us deliberately and premeditated.
Finally, in 1993, the European Court of Human Rights upheld the right of a Greek citizen to teach his religious beliefs to others, and ruled that Greece had violated the freedom of Minos Kokkinakis. To date, Jehovah's Witnesses have won over 200 favorable decisions in the highest courts on earth.
Burning deep within the hearts of Jehovah's Witnesses is the desire to show Jehovah how much we love Him. As secular authorities attempt to impede our effort, then with that same degree of zeal, we work to protect our witnessing activities.
To know that if you put your trust in Jehovah, He will help you through it, no matter what.
The wonderful thing about persecution, if I can call it that, is that it demands a firm decision.
Jehovah is a powerful fighter. Who can fight with Him?
No matter how much opposition we may face, or what form or shape it may take, our trust in Jehovah will never let us down. He's backing us up.
Throughout the legal battles and persecution, Jehovah's Witnesses were experiencing amazing growth. The School of Gilead was making an impact. In the first 10 years of its operation, over 2,000 missionaries had been trained and dispatched. And the number of Jehovah's Witnesses quadrupled. In Africa, in just 11 years after the start of the Gilead School, the number of Jehovah's Witnesses increased by 800%. The message took hold in the Orient as well. When Gilead missionaries arrived in Japan in 1949, there were fewer than 10 native witnesses. But in less than 50 years, that number would multiply to over 200,000.
Most definitely, it's not the result of human efforts, but it's the result of Jehovah's Spirit. It's true, He uses humans. He blesses their efforts, but it's God who makes it grow.
Worldwide, Jehovah's Witnesses were preaching in 143 countries. The work was expanding on every continent. The witnesses were growing, not just in number, but in understanding.